but we'll get started with just some introductions and then we'll dive into the content. So I'm Hannah Curtis. I'm a coordinator with the North Metro Small Business Development Center. For any of you who aren't familiar with our center, we offer free one-on-one consulting, business consulting in a variety of topics, marketing being a big one, obviously what we're going to be talking about today. We also do online education like webinars and classes like we're doing today. So if you are interested in checking out any of our previous recordings of webinars that are helpful, you can always check out our video library on our website, which is northmetrosbdc.com. I'll throw that in the chat here in a minute. So that's the SBDC, that's some of what we do. And one of the areas that we cover is Brighton. And so we want to give a big shout out and thank you to the City of Brighton and the Economic Development Department. They are a strong partner of the SBDC and are sponsoring this session today. So they also have a lot of really great resources and supports for businesses. So if you're in the Brighton area and have not been connected yet with the Economic Development Department, I will put their website in the chat here in a minute as well, and would definitely encourage you to check out their site for some help there. So with us today, we have Peter Brissett. He is one of our North Metro marketing consultants, and also he owns his own business, Digital Marketing Dude, and just a wealth of marketing knowledge. So we're really excited to be learning from him today about email marketing. We also have Diego Leyes, who is also a marketing specialist on our North Metro team and our Spanish programs outreach consultant as well. So any questions specific to marketing to the Spanish speaking markets, would definitely encourage you to put that in the chat with Diego. And we're happy to have his input on all of this as well. So we will have time for Q&A at the end, but also feel free to type in questions into the chat as we go. We'll be doing some breakout rooms later on, so we want this to be interactive. And with that, Peter, I will turn it over to you.
All right, Hannah, thank you very much. Thank you for hosting us here. I'm glad to have Diego with us as well to help out today. And I see a lot of new faces, but at least a few that I know, which is awesome. John Jaggers, who's also with SBDC, but a few folks have been on some of my trainings before. Jason, good to see you. And David Head, like, what? I thought you already know all this. All right, maybe not. Anyway, good to have all you guys. Let me just share my screen here, and we'll kind of give you a breakdown of the plan for today. Let me make sure that I can still see everybody as well as possible and have access to the chat. So ideally, we'll spend about 40 minutes talking about the content. And we're going to break you guys up into little groups because I want you to take what you're working on and talk about it with each other for a little bit. Share some ideas, some challenges, and then we'll have more time for questions and answers and some review after that as well. So that's a general agenda. We're going to do what we need to do to help you guys today to really address this around the email marketing. All right, let me make sure I got my chat window here going. And we'll jump into this. So a part of this content has been adapted. So we did a digital marketing boot camp last year, which a couple of folks on here went through. And this was kind of the main areas that we address and look at. And I have something I call the digital marketing blueprint. So if you want to dig into some of these other areas, we're not going to go into all of these today. But if you're curious and you have questions, if you go to my website, dmdude.com, and right here on the home page, you can sign up for, it's probably, I don't know, 6-7 hours of video training. So when you're really super bored, you could go watch that and, you know, help you take a nap or something. but I address in depth all these areas. So, but today we're focusing on the email marketing, but I always take some time and do talk about strategy because that's really important. So many of our questions that we have can be answered by going back to our strategy, and strategy for me is a few things. People, who's our target market? What's the problem we solve? How do we solve that problem? What's our process? And then, that's the main three. And then how you kind of go about in terms of your personality or your passion and address it that way. So quickly on people, this is our target market. Who are we going after? Well, who is our ideal client? What do they look like? Where do they live? What's their income levels? What's their family life like? Having a really good idea of who your target market is. And the best way to discover that, if you're like, oh, I'm not sure, but go through and look at who are your current clients and who are they now, and who do I really like working with, and who do I help the most, and who's the most successful when they work with me, and then what are their demographics, and that will really help you identify who the target is and what you're really looking for. And yes, Patricia, I've already sent these to Hannah, and she'll send these out. In these slides, I've got some links that I'll show you in a little bit, some other documents, kind of supporting tools to help you out with this as well, that you'll have access to. So yeah, you'll get all of this as well. I think she'll probably send you the recording if you're really bored and just want to, watch it again, you can do that. So the target market is super critically important when we start talking about, who we're sending to, and how do we develop the messaging? Like, who are we speaking to? So we often make the mistake of trying to mostly talk about ourselves, when what we should be talking about is the person we're trying to reach, and focusing on them. When it comes to creating your content and messaging and any of that, the simplest thing to do is always focus on what's the problem that you solve, or what is the problem that your customers or clients have. And it can be something super simple, or in some cases it's more complex. It's going to vary. And maybe you solve a number of different problems. But when it comes to messaging, in particular for email or even for your website, it's good to kind of pick an area or pick a specific thing that you can focus on as the particular problem. And what are the benefits of solving that problem? And what happens if you don't solve this problem today? Will this get worse? Those types of things that you can develop into your messaging. So target market, super important. What's the problem that they actually have? And then how do you solve that problem for them? Here's the the things that you do, or the product that you have, or the service that you have that will eliminate that problem or make that problem go away. And then the passion personality piece is kind of how you want to go about it. A lot of people, are in their industry or their business for a specific reason. A lot of times it's a story. I had this bad thing that happened to me, and I had to go solve this problem myself. And so now I can share with you my personal story of how I went about solving this problem. And now I created this business to do that for other people. So that gets into strong, kind of why I do this, but maybe you have particular values that you are expressing in how you do this. Or you're doing a celebrity thing. You're, Dylan Doug or Jake Jabs, and you want to be the personality piece that you can do that. So that's all kind of optional, and can be whatever you want to do there, but those are just some ideas. So that's a little bit just on strategy. We have a lot of questions around strategy. You can come back and look at those. I'm skipping over website for this session. I do want to talk content a little bit, because the whole purpose of sending an email is to get your folks to engage with your content or your messaging, or to take action in some way with something. So having some content created, maybe you did a new video or you wrote a new blog post, you created a new resource that's available for your customers and prospects, whatever that might be, then you're sending an email to drive them to that, to have them engage with that. Maybe you've got a new post on Facebook and you want them to engage with you on Facebook. So there's some creation of content that you're going to develop to be able to offer to your customers and clients. Content can be curated as well, which is content from other sources. So maybe there's someone in your industry that's well known and a lot of people listen to them. And so you maybe are saying, hey, here's what this guy said, and I agree with him, and this is what I think about it. You could also take another tack to that. So sometimes it's great to take the opposite attack. So approach, if someone says, hey, I think you should do this with your finances, and maybe the way you do your financial planning is completely different. And so you're like, here's the 3 reasons I think he's wrong. And this is why you should do it this way. So there are different ways you can take outside content and readapt that and make it your own content by having a take on it. And there's just common inspirational, motivational type things that you can do as well. Your calendar then becomes an important tool. So this works for your content, this works for your social media planning, and this works for your email marketing as well. So one of the documents that I will have available on, I'll show you on the slides where to get to it, is just a basic content calendar. So where you can come in here and actually create a plan. This is what I'm going to do for the next month, or the next 3 months, or the next 6 months. Again, you don't have to put everything in here, but if you at least have an idea of the types of content that you want to do, description of the content, what action do you want them to take, what social sites, this is a link, is this an email, what is it going to be in terms of the type of content, and then you can plan that out. So this is super simple. Adapt and change this to whatever you want. If you want to use it or don't, it's okay too, but just a tool that you can use. So big questions that come up with social media in general and with email, any kind of messaging that we do. And oh, thank you, Jackie. Awesome. So Jackie went through our digital marketing boot camp. So thank you. So I have something I call RFP, like when should I send an email? When should I post on social media? How frequently? So a lot of that goes back to strategy. Who's my target market? How often do they want to be contacted and reached out to? What do they need? And again, it relates to what's the problem I solve? How frequently is this problem coming up? So those are all important pieces of this. But with RFP, I consider recency, frequency, proximity. So how recent do I need to be and how frequent do I need to be to create a closer proximity? So it's kind of like dating. So, if I ask a gal out and we go on a date, we're sitting there at dinner, it's our first date, and I'm like, you're awesome, let's get married. What do you think she's going to say? You can answer me. She's going to say no, unless she's crazy. And then that's a whole nother problem, right? So she's going to say no because we just met. So our experience with one another has not been, while it's been recent, it hasn't been frequent. So you need that combination of both in order to start to create that proximity. So if you're recent and you're frequent, you can create that proximity. So how can I create that next step with who my ideal prospect is? So do I need to speak to them once a week, once a month, once every 6 months for them to go, oh, yeah, I need to solve this problem. And I know that Peter's the one to solve this for me. So I need to reach out to him. So how do I get them to take the next step? So that's how recent or frequent you need to be. So there's not a perfect formula or plan for that. In general, I like to use kind of the 80-20 rule when it comes to content, types of content, messages that are useful, helpful, edutain, they provide some entertainment and education or resources. So for those types of messages, to every one message that is, hey, buy my product or schedule an appointment with me. So you kind of have that 4-to-1, 5-to-1 ratio so that you're providing good resources, but you still want to get to the point where you are asking them to take that next step with you. A couple of tools which will be good for your email as well, in particular is canva.com. So there are times when you definitely need custom graphics created for you. And I hire graphic designers all the time. But for a lot of your social posts and for what you even put in your email, canva.com is a fantastic resource for making those graphics. They already have templates created for you, and you just pick and grab a template, put your name on it, drop your logo in there, and you've got it. So it's pretty fairly easy application to use that's web-based, and they have a free version as well as a paid version. But if you need some graphics created or some short video content or something like that, Fiverr.com's kind of an outsourcing website. And a lot of stuff does cost $5. Most stuff isn't only $5 on there, but a lot of it starts at $5. But you can get simple graphics made, simple videos for, $20, $30 and get some nice extra content created for you. Let's see, some questions about content, social media. We've kind of talked about RFP. The other thing you do is a combination with social and email is contests. How do you create more engagement? You can create a contest. So whatever your thing is, maybe you can do a photo contest. And so have people post their pictures to your Facebook page, and you're going to pick a winner out of that to get, a free hour of whatever, free product or something like that. So it gets people to actively engage, and the more likes or more comments, more shares can be part of that judging, or however you want to do that. But contests are a great way to do that. All right, let's talk about some email marketing. So I haven't in this column here tools, but let's talk about tools for a little bit. A key piece for email marketing is having a system to deliver the emails. So if we're just sending from our Gmail account or using Outlook to send out emails, that's okay. But we really shouldn't be doing group emails like that. That's really meant for personal one-on-one communication. If we're going to send to a group and send messaging out like that, we really should be using something as basic as MailChimp. So the most basic version of MailChimp is free up to 2,000 subscribers. So you can get a lot of use out of MailChimp just using it for free. There's a lot of systems out there that tools that work great. The main one that I use is called Active Campaign, and I'm going to show you a campaign. I just happened to put this together, a brand new email opt-in and marketing campaign that I just did for myself just in the last 2 weeks here. So you'll get to see a brand new campaign that I just set up, and it's super simple, nothing fancy about it, but it's one of the most basic kind of campaigns that you could do. So I'll let you guys see what that looks like. So the platform is called Active Campaign, and it's a contact management and email marketing, and does a lot of automation, right? We're looking to automate a lot of these processes for us. Jackie asks, is MailChimp free version 2,000 subscribers or 2,000 emails per month sent? It's 2,000 subscribers. I can't remember the volume of emails. I feel like it's 10,000 or more in terms of volume of emails that you can send on a monthly basis on that free version. So it's pretty robust. But there's lots of others. There's, Get Response, and others as well. Diego, is there one or two that you like or that you use?
Yes, I like Sending Blue, MailerLite. Active Campaign is one of the most famous and more reliable one.
Yeah. Okay, great. So the key thing with that you're setting up, you want to be able to segment your list for different things. So you want to be able to identify in that list are these prospects? They've never bought from me before. And so there's that prospect list so that you're sending the right messages to your prospect list. But you also want to have your customers. So, and you can even add additional categorization there. So are these one-time customers? Is this a multiple time customer? Is this a customer that's been with me for a long time? Like, there's a lot of different ways you can start to narrow down, depending on the types of campaigns you want to create for them. So Patricia asked, do these tools prevent you from being identified as spam? So there's not necessarily. So ideally, there's a whole segment, I won't get into it today, but about email deliverability and how you make sure that emails can get delivered. And there's some process and setup that really should be done to make sure emails get delivered to the inbox and don't wind up in spam. For the most part, all these platforms, I mean, this is their system and their tools. So they work really hard out of the box to make sure you don't get delivered to spam. But there are several factors that could create that could still happen based on your domain. So if you run into those issues, let's talk and we can get into that. It's a whole other technical stuff we don't have time to get into today. But in general, they're meant to keep you out of spam for sure. And Diego answered that question. Thank you, Diego, on the MailChimp. You could even segment based on, hey, these clients actually left me a review. So when I send out an email asking to get a review, then I'm not sending it to those who already have left me a review, right? You could leave those ones out of it. So I think that's those types of categorizations are what you can do when you use a tool like MailChimp or Active Campaign and do that. So yeah, Diego, can you pop in those other ones that you mentioned? Put them in the chat. Great. So the segmenting and categorizing is really a big piece of how you can then start to look at, well, then what are the different campaigns I can send out and use email for. I was talking about this webinar and I'm like, hey, I'm doing this email marketing webinar to a friend of mine. And she was like, are you going to teach people how to spam? Is that what you're going to do? That is like the worst case scenario of email marketing, right? We all get spam. everybody sends spam. So this is, how do you actually integrate this piece of your business as your overall strategy, right? It's a piece of everything else that you do, and it's an important piece to be able to use it effectively in communicating with clients and prospects, and to nurture that list, and to bring repeat business back, and to generate new business as well. So a couple things on newsletters and autoresponders. So newsletter, a lot of times you'll see that on a website, right? Sign up for my newsletter. I don't know about you, but I don't think a lot of people are like super excited to get another newsletter. So better to come up with some other name or some other idea. So can you join our community, be a part of our community, or join our discount club, or whatever it is? So make it much more inviting, like they're actually becoming a part of something, because nobody really wants to get just another email newsletter. And then we'll talk a little bit about autoresponders. So it's just a fancy way of creating an automatic email. Basically, the most simple form of this, and I'll show you the basic thing that I set up, is something like this. You put in your name and your email address, you're opting in, and then when you do that, you're going to get an email automatically. That's an autoresponder. That's the most simplest version of it that there is. So an autoresponder could be one email, but it could also be 3 emails or 5 emails or 100 emails. It doesn't really matter. So if you have a newsletter, community kind of thing that you have people sign up for on your website using, MailChimp or ActiveCampaign, you could actually create, 52 weeks. Let's say, hey, sign up for our community, and you're going to get an email every single week on these tips and ideas on how to do ABC, XYZ, whatever it is. So you can have all those emails created. So when the person signs up on day 1, they start at email number 1, and every week they're going to automatically get all 52 of those emails all through the year. So there's an opportunity to nurture that prospect, right? So it's that recency, frequency, to create that proximity. And you can set that up one time, and there it is. And then your only job is to market it and get people to sign up for it. You've already done the work. You could even do it as a little course. Hey, join my 7-day course on how to overcome XYZ problem. And you set up the course in a series of emails. It gets delivered once a day, every day. They sign up for it. The emails automatically go out. You set that up once, and all you do is have to promote it and get people to sign up. So that is the kind of the magic of autoresponder or automation in terms of email marketing, which again, you need the tools like MailChimp or ActiveCampaign to do that. Let's see, Michelle says here, GetResponse is the email tool they use. GetResponse is great. Jackie says she changed from newsletter to join the Purple Mountain Club. Love it. Getting more signups. Perfect. Let's see. Yeah, let's talk about a couple questions. Question is, once the customer is established, will the new autoresponders kick in for them? So that depends on how you have it set up. So one of the great things about the automation is that you can create what's called a trigger. And a trigger is based on it happens when certain criteria is met. So for instance, if you update your database with a certain tag, like customer purchased something, and you tag that person in the database, that could be the trigger. So you tag them, they're a customer, they automatically get added to a new customer follow-up. And now they're going to get 5 emails that welcome them to being a customer. And all you did to trigger that campaign was add a tag to that contact in order to get that campaign to kick off. So some quick questions we can think about here. All the marketing we do, we should always ask, what are the results I want to get? Like, what do I want to see happen from this? And, do I want to get more subscribers? Do I want to get more customers? Like, what is it I want to get? And what are those numbers? So we have some means of measuring what we think is successful. And how you can measure results. So another great thing about using a MailChimp or an active campaign is that you can go back and look to see how your campaign went. Just because we send out an email doesn't mean it's going to get opened. So what can we do to increase open rates? Or if we notice, oh, I got quite a few unsubscribes. So why am I getting unsubscribes? That's something that we can look at. And then conversion rates, when we talk about conversion rates, it's a little bit of a measurement of, I can figure out, with Google Analytics, how many people landed on this page, and then how many people actually opted in. So if I had 100 people visit this page, and 10 people opted in, so I know I had a 10% conversion rate. They went from visiting the page to actually getting on the list. So that's another key data point that you can track if you're going to, as a part of this. So we've kind of talked about that there. So one of the things I've sent you a link for this as well. Let me open this. Is coming up with good subject lines, right? Subject lines is a big piece that will get your attention. So there's a few of these out on the internet. This is just one that you could possibly use, free tool. So keyword, let's say life insurance. Oh yeah, thank you, Diego, for that. That's good. All right, and this generates some ideas for subject lines. Little known ways to life insurance. That doesn't make sense. But you can kind of see the trend there and what you're doing. Why life insurance is not good. Oh, that might get your attention. So again, sometimes content that may seem to be counter to what normally you might say, or it's a tongue-in-cheek, or it's sarcastic. It could be lots of different ways. So, whatever this is, how about exercise? So maybe you have a yoga class. The Arnold Schwarzenegger of exercise. That's funny. Little known ways to exercise. How to get exercise. How to take the headache out of exercise. Or how to take the muscle ache out of exercise. So again, just to have a little more creative ideas on your subject lines, just to get your emails open more often, is going to be a big piece of that. So even if you're just doing a basic email, maybe it's your monthly email, like play with the subject line, come up with some creative ideas, and see if that doesn't trigger better open rates for you when you do that. Another resource I have for you is this social media audit checklist. Again, this is just an extra benefit that you can take some time and go through. So it's got all the major platforms for you just to go through and make sure you've got everything set up correctly and good to go there. So let's talk about marketing funnels for a little bit. So email becomes a real important piece of this in terms of what we might call a marketing funnel, and kind of do this first with ACEs: attract, capture, engage, and sell. So there's some type of offer that you have, an ebook, whatever it is. There's a landing page. There's a follow-up series of emails, and then there's some type of close the sale, if you will, of the process when you're going to sell. So I set something up basically just like this. There's another document I have for you that helps you plan this out. So these are the blank questions. Let me increase this so you can see this better. So this is one that I just set up, like I said here, for myself in the last week, 2 weeks. So what's the goal of campaign? Add new email subscribers. Main traffic source is a landing page via Facebook ads. Where's the landing page going to go? It's going to go on my main website. Key content on the page is a video about the checklist, image of the checklist. I guess I should add the name here. This is campaign is website critical information checklist. They'll fill in the form to get the PDF version of the checklist. For that, what information do we want to capture? Name and email. What lists are they going to be added to? So we have a list that they're going to be added on. We have a tag, and I'll show you what that is. Is there a thank you page? Pretty common to have more information on a thank you page. There's lots of things you can do on a thank you page. You know, you can upsell, downsell, and all that kind of thing. Not going to get into that, but just to mention it. How many emails in the sequence? We're going to do 5 emails, first one immediately, and then 3 days in between the rest of the emails. What are the key links inside the emails? Pretty simple on this one, same link in all the different emails. And then there are things that you can do when people click on a link. So with these tools, so as they actually click on a link, you can add additional information to their record. You can increase their score and do different things that can actually trigger other actions later. And then here's the email series. This is, you can add all the content here if you wanted to, just to type it all out. I just kind of gave a quick outline of the number of emails. So that's pretty much everything you need, regardless of the platform you're using, to plan out a campaign. So let's show you what this looks like. So here's my landing page that I set up. I've got a video that I made here that talks about the critical information checklist for your website. You get a PDF version of that checklist. This is a picture of it with an opt-in. Simple, super simple, right? There's a whole lot of optimization that I could do on this page to make it better. My goal was to let me get something up that I can start using, and I'll optimize as I go. That's typically how I like to do things. So simple landing page. So what happens once they fill that out? So over here in active campaign, so this is my active campaign. Here's my campaign, website critical information checklist. So different platforms are going to look a little different, but they're all typically somewhat similar to kind of this style of building this out. So like I said, I mentioned there's a trigger that gets them started on their email campaign. So in this case, here, let me do this to make this a little bigger for you guys. When they submit that form for the information checklist, that's going to trigger this campaign. So I'm adding the tag to their record, WCIC. So it's a tag that gets added, and they're going to get this email right here. So this first email says, thank you, welcome to the checklist, or to the, getting the checklist. Here's a link where you can go and download the checklist. Super simple. Then there's a wait period, 3 days. Then they're going to get the next in it. So there's 4 main categories of the checklist. So I'm going to talk about the first one, which is domain names. So they'll get that email. And again, I'll send them the link where they can watch a video about domain names. Wait for 3 days. Email number 2. Then we talk about hosting. Email number 3, we talk about website access. Email number 4, we talk about email accounts. Then at the end of this, the last one is basically saying, okay, hopefully you got this all figured out now. You've watched all these videos, you know everything you need to know. But in case you don't, and you want to have a conversation, then let's set up a discovery call. Click here, and it takes them to my calendar so they can set up a free discovery call to see how else we might be able to help them. And that's the campaign. So that is super basic. There's nothing fancy about this. Really simple campaign. I'd like to tell you, in a week, I've had 100 signups. I literally just got it set up. I got an ad running. I think I've had 4 visitors to the page and no conversions yet. So we've got some work to do on that aspect of it, but the basics of the campaign is set up and ready to go. So that's a basic marketing funnel. So when you hear people talk about marketing funnels, that's the most basic. It gets way more elaborate. You can do purchases as a part of a marketing funnel as well. But that's a super simple campaign you can have for email marketing. All right, questions. So I've got some more tips and ideas for you that I want to share with you. But what I'd like to do now, Hannah, is let's break into our groups. And what I want you guys to do is just take a few minutes and think about these questions. What results do you want to get from email marketing? Are you doing it? What do you need to do it? What have you used in the past? How frequently do you think you should be contacting your list? These types of things, and take a few minutes and just bounce off of each other, talk to each other about what you're doing or what you want to do, where you've had some success, or, what are your plans based on some of the stuff we've talked about. And we'll talk about what do you want to do in your next steps, and talk about that with each other for a little bit. And then we'll come back. I've got some more tips for you, and think about more questions that you might have that we can answer for you. From your side conversations there, questions, thoughts, ideas, who's excited, who's not excited? Sarah.
Peter, hi. I have a question. This didn't come up with my discussion, but can you explain, I get confused with emailing people sort of a newsletter versus doing the blog, so that I'm not crisscrossing, and I don't want to just.
Well, They could be the same thing. You know, it's not like you have to do completely separate content for your email than what your blog post is. So
You email your blog post to them though,
Yeah.
or?
yeah, so when I do a new blog post, so I do one blog post a month, and then I have an email I send out every month. That's my monthly marketing message, and it's I tease the content, and then I have a link that takes them to the blog post to watch the video.
Okay, perfect.
So, and you can play with different things, right? You can put all your content within the email if you want. What I prefer to do is tease the content and take them to a page where they can interact with it. So your newsletter that you do can be your blog post. So it's that blog post can be the main content of it. So yeah, totally fine to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah. No reason to recreate something that you've already created.
When you
Amy,
when you-
hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Working on my website, so other
Yeah.
people. So when you do the blog teaser, how many people, what percentage of people do you get going to your blog when you do that?
Oh, I haven't looked at mine recently to tell you what mine are, but I know it's way more than if I didn't send out the email to say that there was a blog there. So it's again, for me, it's about nurturing communication. So I'm not necessarily as concerned most of the time with people actually going to my blog, other than the fact that they got a message from me this month that I was still working on things, and I'm still doing marketing, and I'm still here delivering on helping people market their businesses. So that's my main purpose around that. So for you, again, you have to look at what do you want to do with that. And, you know, so if your goal is, I want people to definitely go to my blog post and interact with it. So then that becomes your subject line teaser. And that teaser text that you have to put in there becomes everything, because then you have to trigger something in them that says, oh, that's a problem and she's solving it. Or it's worth taking my, the next 15 minutes to go look at this. So, how you market that. So if that's your intention is really to get them there and you want to have a high percentage of people go there, then your subject line and that teaser text is where you got to spend your time really developing that.
Peter, I have a question. I'm having
Yeah.
a somewhat of a difficult time creating my content.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about or maybe speak about
Yes.
services or individuals who are who specialize in actually creating the email content for the
So let me ask you this: is it you're having a hard time coming up with ideas for content, or you don't know how to create the actual content like a video or a blog post?
It's more on the idea,
Okay.
the popping out idea that's going to capture attention and
So let me tell you where to start. Okay. And you can build from there. So here's the challenge that all of us have with the thing that we do, right? There's this stuff that we do, whatever we're good at, we do every day. And what happens is we begin to think that everybody just knows the same stuff that we do. But the truth is they don't, right? I'm talking to you about all this email marketing stuff. I do this every day. I wake up in the middle of the night and think about this stuff. You guys don't do that, right? Because it's not what you do every day. So same thing for whatever it is you do. I don't know anything about it. You're all the expert on the thing that you do. So the place to start with that in terms of content is frequently asked questions. What are the most frequently asked questions that you get about your business, your product, your service? So that's what you start with. Build the most comprehensive list you possibly can of the most frequently asked questions. A secondary list of questions to create content is the should ask questions. What are the questions people should be asking me, but they don't? So if I have a relative who wants to buy my product or service and they live in another town, so they can't buy it from me, when I say, all right, when you're looking for a provider of this service, here's 3 or 4 questions you should ask them to make sure you're going to get the service that you need. So those are should ask questions versus just the frequently asked questions.
Okay.
So that is where you start. That's your most important core content. And then you build off of that. So
Okay.
you can pop in your email inbox and you probably have 10 questions in there right now that people have been asking you about whatever it is that you do. And that's where you start with your content.
Okay.
So that's
All right.
foundational for everything else. And start there.
Okay.
Then,
Thank you.
yeah, you bet. From there, then it's just every day, just be looking at what's the most obvious thing that I think is most obvious, but I realize none of my clients know this or remember this. And then you can start to add on from there. But that's your foundation for
Okay, great,
your content.
great.
And you can repurpose that content over and over. You can make a video, you can make a blog post, you can do all different kinds of things with that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep. Great question. Other questions? Okay. Doesn't look like it. All right. So a couple more tips for you that I want to share with you. So I in general have a pet peeve about a couple of things when it comes to using your mobile device and interacting with websites and emails. I was just telling the SBDC gals on the break there that most websites are not mobile friendly, most of them. So when I go to websites on my phone and I go, oh, nope, not mobile friendly. I'm like, how are these people doing business this today, right now? Like, do they not realize that almost all the traffic to their website is on a mobile device? And I cannot even read this, cannot interact with it. I can't do anything. I can't find the information I need. And yeah, it's not going to work. So most mobile websites are like that. A greater percentage of emails are not mobile friendly. People do not think about people reading emails on their mobile device. So I don't do it very often. I will tell you this, I don't do it very often, but because I think it's a bad habit. But I have lots of bad habits. But it's not unusual that people are used to picking up their phone first thing in the morning. They're not even out of bed and they open their email and start reading emails. Does anybody here do that? Am I the only one? Oh, yep. There we go. We got a couple. Yep. So it's so whatever. We'll get counseling. We'll figure that out later. But the fact is, most of the time I just go, can't read that. Can't read that. I'm like, why am I doing this? I can't even read these things because they weren't made to be read on a mobile device. So that's a pet peeve of mine. So I have a couple tips and ideas to help you with that. You can see them here. Use a larger font size. You should do the same thing on your website. Your website should be at least 18 pixels on your font size, minimum 18. Same with your email. And I'm not just saying that because, you know, after I turned 50, I had to start wearing the reading glasses so that I could see things. So, which is true. I do have to do that. But in general, so much easier to read stuff on a mobile device if it's bigger. Stick to a single column design and a single call to action if possible, and try to use buttons versus a link and personalize it with their names or other key info. So quick example. this campaign. So I have dear first name. This will insert their first name in there. This is all a single column, right? There's not multiple columns that I have to try to sort through. Big button. Could say press here versus click here. Even the icons are big. So that if I was on a mobile device, I could go, oh, I want to check out his Facebook page. I just press it with my thumb and I'm getting to the Facebook page. So in this font size, see, 18 pixels. So I really try to do what I teach, guys, just FYI. I don't always, it's like the cobbler can't fix his own shoes. I try to follow my own advice. We talked about unique subject lines, and we've kind of talked about campaigns. So just again on different types of campaigns, welcome emails, newsletter, seasonal. You got holidays coming up. You might be able to do some stuff around that. All right, other questions?
Quick question. If you use like MailChimp or ActiveCampaign, do they automatically make it a responsive email, or do you have to do stuff to make it a responsive email?
No, they pretty much do. They pretty much have built it so that it does. So I just keep, as long as you keep it a single column, then it'll be fine. If you try to do like multiple columns, to me, that gets kind of messy, where you got content, in two different columns. So if you keep it super simple, is my suggestion. But they have a lot of templates that are already pretty much mobile friendly. So you can just grab their template and just edit it.
You can also, with MailChimp, when you go to review your campaign before you send it, look at it on the computer versus mobile, and you can see what it's looking like. That's pretty neat.
Yep. Yeah, most of these have some version of it where you can get an idea of what it looks like, and send a test email to yourself and look at it on your phone and see if it looks okay. That's the easiest way to do it. One of the easy ways to do it.
With the holidays coming up,
Mhm.
how do you feel like, how many emails is too many? Sometimes I get these campaigns where the 12 days of Christmas, and by day 2, I'm saying, I'm not reading number 3 through 12. It's just,
Right. Yeah. Again, think about, how can I provide real value that people are gonna want to read my email? And so can I provide some real value in that, and really, do a great job of creating, my subject lines and my body content, is really dialed in. And so the great thing about doing a seasonal campaign is that you can do it this year, measure your results, and then come back next year, refine it, and do it again. And so you can begin to develop that over time and see what works, right? So be willing to test some stuff, do some stuff you haven't done before to see how it goes. So I think someone else had a question there. Yes. Yes, no, yes. So again, you'll get this document. It's got the links to everything, the extra documents for you. Your campaign setup checklist, subject line generator, your social media audit, that's just a bonus for you, and then your content calendar planning document as well. There, so we'll send that out to you guys. Any other questions? So just a reminder to you guys, I'm available, Diego's available. If you have more specific questions about email marketing or marketing in general, on anything, we're happy to meet with you guys and talk about that. Big shout out again to Brighton, City of Brighton, Chamber and Economic Development for promoting this to all you folks and letting you know about it and sponsoring this as well. So I think that's all I got, Hannah.
Awesome. Well, and thank you, Peter, so much. This has been really helpful. Thank you, Diego, for your input as well. And I didn't introduce Michelle Flores. She's also been on with us. She's another coordinator at the SBDC and has been putting some helpful things in the chat there. So thank you everyone for joining. I will be sending out the slides, the links and the recording all this afternoon once the video is uploaded. So keep an eye out for that. And I'll also, if you are looking to schedule an appointment with Peter or any of our other marketing specialists or SBDC consultants, you can just respond directly to that email and I can help you get connected there. So thank you all for joining us, and thanks, Peter, so much. We hope you have a great afternoon.
Bye, guys.
Bye.